Alright, Shalom. I'd like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodesh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, to the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akim who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedom to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen, but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds or Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as are the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Zakaria, and I'm a prophet sent from Yahweh Shemishai to let you all know of the things that are coming, to let you all know of the prophecies of Yahweh Shemishai, as well as the Lord's judgments and the Lord's mercies. And we have many prophecies that are well on their way. You have the prophecy of Jacob's trouble, which is a time like never before upon us as a nation. You have the judgment that comes along with the time of Jacob's trouble, which is the famine and the pestilence and the sword. And that sword is going to be activated in the worst way yet, which that sword I'm referring to is Esau, the so-called white man. They're the people that are currently in rulership today. This is their kingdom, and the Edomites, who they are the wicked. All right? They're going to be activated, man, because Esau's blessing is that sword. You have the prophecy of the famine of the word, which means that this word and the prophets going out on the highways and byways will eventually stop. You have the World War III prophecy, which is building day by day. You have the destruction of America, which is Mystery Babylon the Great, which is going to happen at the end of World War III, which will also include the return of our Lord Yahushai to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. But before that can happen, the mark of the beast prophecy has to be fulfilled, which is the mark of the beast. And the times that we're in clearly show that this mark of the beast prophecy is well on its way to come into pass by observing the times and knowing what that mark of the beast is. It says in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. And what's the vision? These prophecies. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So the vision, which are these prophecies, are yet for an appointed time. So everything has been set to occur at a specific moment in time. We're simply living through the script right now. But at the end it shall speak. The end. Right? The end of what? The end of the world? No. It's not talking about the end of the world. As you have some false prophets and some false doctrines out there that will talk about, tell people. No, it's talking about the end of an age. The end of a period of time, which is talking about the end of the kingdom of the Edomites, these so-called white people. In the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 3, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So the disciples asked Yahushua, when shall be the sign of thy coming? When shall be your return? And what are the signs that will be seen before that return? That's why it says, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? It says the end of the world. But when you look at the Greek here for the word world in G165, it says aeon, which aeon, it says forever, a period of time. The main one is period of time and age, right? So it's talking about a period of time and an age. And so right now we're living through the period of time and the age of the rulership of the Edomites, the age of Esau's rulership, which is the rulership of the so-called white man. They are the biblical Edomites. All of the signs point to them regarding the Bible, and when it talks about Esau and who and what he is and his blessing and everything, these so-called white people perfectly match with who Esau is in the scriptures. Okay, so it is them, and it's talking about the end of their world, their kingdom, which is what we're going through right now. Okay, so at the end of Esau's kingdom will be the return of Yahushua, and we know based off of Bible prophecy that the multitude of prophecies, the judgments, Jacob's trouble, World War III, all of these things, the launching of the missiles will happen before Yahushua returns. He will return when the missiles are on their way to America. Okay? So, because he's going to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel from America before the missiles hit. You see? So it's an event that happens simultaneously. So that's what he's talking about when he's talking about the end of the world. Alright? So going back to Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. So it will surely come, it will not tarry. And so it will speak at the end. And so when you look at what's going on in the world today, you look at current events, you can clearly see when you match it to Bible prophecy that we're at the end. The prophecies are speaking louder than ever before. And they're going to continue to speak louder each and every day because we're approaching the time of their fulfillment. So things are going to become more blatant as the days go by, right? And what we're experiencing right now is the build-up heading towards these prophecies. You have, for example, America's allies are going to turn against her and shoot her with missiles. Revelation chapter 17 verse 16. And so what we're seeing is that the relationship between America and her allies, the EU and NATO, that is literally deteriorating day in, day out. We're experiencing it, we're going through it, we bear witness to it. These things are happening. These things take time. Alright? But once it is that Yahweh Shemishai allows the floodgates to happen, so to speak, it's all just going to be happening rapidly. It's going to be like a dam that has been breached. It's just going to be overflowing. Right? So while it is right now, the vision is speaking because they're at the end, okay? In the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 16, and verse 67, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. Even so shall the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side. The plagues, which are the judgments of Yahweh Shemishai, which are coming. Okay? And so it's likened onto, these plagues are likened onto childbirth, where it is, you know, when it comes, it approaches the 9 months, and when the child is being ready to be born, the contractions start happening, and they start to happen more spaced out, then they start to happen more frequently. The water breaks, and then, the woman has, the contractions happen more and more frequently and more intensely until the child is born. That is what we're going to be experiencing, man. With the prophecies, right now we can see that they're building up day in, day out, and it's very clear to see where we can easily claim that Esau's kingdom is through, it's over with, right? It's at its end. And so when these prophecies start to happen fully, where they're fulfilled, it's going to be hitting back to back to back to back to back. Every single situation that is going to be happening. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, 2nd Ezra chapter 16. Alright? Persecution upon the prophets. A great insurrection upon those that believe in Yahweh Shemishai. Chaos in the streets. Okay? Martial law. Famine. Mass death by way of disease. Esau unleashing his military might and showing his teeth. Applying pressure. Applying draconian measures. The city shall be wasted, as the scriptures say. We're heading into these times, man. Okay? And it's also that they can bring about, I'm referring to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, this wicked elite of Esau, Edom, who are pushing their New World Order agenda. It's all about that microchip. They're doing every single thing to bring in that microchip, because that microchip is their new and improved, in their sight, slavery system. It's a slavery system that they will be able to assume more control over the earth and over the people. A part of his end of the agenda is that he wants to call the population to a certain number. Perhaps it is because he feels Esau, the wicked elite of Esau, Edom I'm talking about, perhaps it is that they feel that it is easier to manage the population of the world at that number. They've done their research and they're eager to unleash it. So now, because they're eager to unleash their New World Order, they're rapidly accelerating towards the release, mass implantation and implementation of the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. And he knows it because his time is short, his kingdom is coming to an end. Alright? Firstly, in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12 it says, "Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil," talking about the Edomites, or these so-called white people, "is come down unto you, having great wrath, because you know that he hath but a short time." Right? He's referred to as a devil because he's the great deceiver, man. He's a slanderer and a false accuser. Right? So he's a devil. They come in that spirit of that old serpent as well. It says, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So he's going to be coming with great wrath because he knows that his time is short. His kingdom is coming to an end. And they've had this goal that they've outlined for decades, that they're excited about, which is their New World Order, that they've been planning for decades. There are different forms of media that proves it. The length in time in which they've been planning for this entire situation to happen. It's literally been decades. And they want it to happen as soon as possible. So now they're accelerating the system needed to allow the microchip to work on a global and mandatory scale, which is knowing what the microchip is. Well, rather knowing what the mark of the beast is, it is the microchip, right? So the microchip itself is a digital device, and knowing how that digital device works, then when looking at what's going on in the world, we're able to relate the systems being put in because those systems relate to the microchip. Okay? Now, Esau is going to be coming with great wrath because he knows that he had but a short time. Now, I want to get it as well in Revelation chapter 20. So he's coming with great wrath, man. And a part of their motto is order out of chaos. Order ab chaos. So they intentionally bring about and create chaotic situations in order to establish order and to implement certain rules and legislations. This is Esau's kingdom. Job chapter 9 and verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So what you see going on in this world, man, you can't always take it face value. We see things that are going on in the world and then we can relate it to Bible prophecy, but because this is the devil that we're dealing with, right, the Edomites, the so-called white man, we have to really observe him very keenly with what he's doing. And knowing Esau, based on what he has shown, because he's such a pride creature, that he enjoys showing what he's doing, his motives, but he doesn't say it point blank, period, right? That's the deception, that's the devil part about him. He puts it out there in plain sight, but then doesn't plainly tell you what it is. And then those who see what he's doing and brings it out into the open, while Esau actively puts it out in the open, he then puts a mark on them and calls them conspiracy theorists and makes them seem crazy. But the entire situation is that he actually is putting it out there in the open for people to see. So you can see what kind of creature we're dealing with, man. Alright, he's a very terrible creature. But here it is in Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1, it says, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit," which is talking about Europe, "and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan." So you see, all of these names Esau is called, because this is talking about Esau, right? Laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. So this is actually talking about, Esau ruled during our Greek captivity and our Roman captivity. That was Edomite rulership. So after the Roman captivity, Esau fell out of power. And then the whole Dark Ages, the Byzantine Empire came about, which was ruled by the Israelites. But that was not the kingdom of heaven. Alright? But our people were ruling. And so he was bound for 1,000 years. That was the period of time in which Esau was bound. He wasn't in rulership. And cast him into the bottomless pit, which is Europe, and shut him up and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So there's proof, man, on the internet of our people, so-called Negro-looking people ruling, which was our people, ruling during the so-called Dark Ages. And you can clearly see that the so-called black man was in the position of rulership by the way how, his position in these depictions, the paintings and stuff that they created. And you could see that Esau was at a lower level, right? He was a slave, he was a subject. Okay, so there's that proof there. That's one of the proof. All right, if anyone is interested in Googling Russian icons, right? So then after that period of time, Esau came back in 1492. And so now that is the period of time that we've been living in, where it says he shall, and after that, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. That's what we're living through, but it says he must be loosed a little season, which is talking about it's just for a season, and we know that seasons, they come and go, right? So Esau's in this season right now of his blessing, which is the fatness of the earth, the dew of heaven, and by the sword he will rule, right? That's in Genesis chapter 27. And so he's in his rulership, man, that blessing where he would have the fatness of the earth, the dew of heaven. So he's in full control, man. All right, this is his kingdom, right? And so it says he must be loosed a little season, and it's all coming to an end, right? His kingdom is all coming to an end, man. As I read in Revelation 12 verse 12, he's coming with great wrath because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. His kingdom has an expiration date. It was never ever meant to last forever. The only kingdom that is meant to last forever is the kingdom of the Israelites, which will be a perpetual and everlasting rulership. This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever, right? So the kingdom of heaven is an everlasting perpetual rulership. And it is on the failure of Esau's kingdom and the end of Esau's kingdom, which then is the beginning of our kingdom. Let me get that in 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? The end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth. And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, which was symbolic. Okay? For Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Right? So Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, is the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel. And so the kingdom of the Israelites comes after the end of the kingdom of the Edomites, which is Esau. For Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. But remember, as I brought out, it's not the end of the world as we know it. The physical world is talking about the end of an age. So it's talking about the end of Esau's rulership, the end of Esau's blessing. Will then be the beginning of our blessing, and that starts with the return of Yahushai. When Yahushai returns, that's officially the kingdom. Yahushai is going to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel from the four corners of the earth, the 1/3 from America. He's going to destroy America, right? And the missiles are going to aid in that destruction. Then he's going to simply set up the kingdom of heaven, which is going to be here on earth with the elect of the nation of Israel. The heathen are going to be put into slavery. And then, you know, things are just going to continue after that. And then we know other parts of the judgment, or other things that will happen, in such as after the 1,000 years, Esau is going to be exterminated, be done away with. Okay? But for right now, we're in the period of time where we're approaching Esau's end of his rulership. So yeah, man, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So with that, he's coming with great wrath because his kingdom is ending. And so he's about to bring hell on earth. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 4. And there went out another horse that was red, talking about Esau, the so-called white man. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. So power was given to him. Esau was given this blessing and this rulership from Yahweh Shemishai, ultimately. Because the Lord is in full and absolute control. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Right, you know, during Esau's rulership, it has been a very chaotic time for the world, for the people of this world. And everybody and everything is suffering, man, because he's the wicked. Everything is destroyed. Everything is polluted, from the people to the air, to the water, the food, the animals, the earth itself, the plants, the vegetation. Everything is destroyed, man, under the rulership of the so-called white man. All right? And he has allowed a certain level of chaos to reign in the earth. And he doesn't establish the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai, which has brought out a very heavy level of chaos and confusion in the world. We are truly in perilous times, as the scriptures say. And the scriptures say in the last days, actually let me get it. Second Timothy chapter 3 and verse 1, it says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." The last days of this kingdom, the kingdom of the Edomites. Because there won't be perilous times for the Israelites in the kingdom of heaven. And regarding the scriptures, Yahweh Shemishai is only all about us, only about the Israelites. So when it talks about Jacob's trouble, the Lord is warning the nation of Israel about what is to come, telling the nation of Israel what will happen if they don't repent and return to our power. The Lord isn't concerned with the heathen at all. The heathen will be going through Jacob's trouble, but there's no salvation for them. There's salvation only for the Israelites. So whatever happens to the heathen, it doesn't matter. The Lord doesn't care about their plight. Same thing here with perilous times. Perilous times will be upon everybody. The world is going to go into chaos. Famine is going to be upon everybody. The judgments of Yahweh Shemishai are going to be upon the world. But the warning is only for the Israelites. So in this Timothy chapter 3 verse 1, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." Perilous times indeed. And we're already in those perilous times. As you can see what's going on in the world. You have the situation that our people are going through already, with Trump coming back into office and bringing the heat. Our people have been suffering the entire time. It never stopped. We're still in captivity to this day, as it says in the book of Baruch, chapter 3, and verse 8, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payment, according to all the iniquities of our fathers which departed from the Lord our power." Right, so we're still this day in our captivity. But what's going to be happening in these last days, and what is starting to heat up right now, is the persecution of our people, man. Okay? In a very blatant way, in a very obvious way. So Trump is in office, and the whole immigration thing has been to target our people, specifically the so-called Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. Right? Just like as it happened before in 1492, when the Northern Kingdom was targeted first, when Christopher Columbus, whose true name is Cristobal Colon, came over here to the Americas. That's when Esau really came back into power. And some people may be saying, "Oh, well, you mentioned the Native Americans and the Seminole Indians." Yeah, well, guess what? News came out about, the Native Americans, right, being affected by this whole immigration thing. There were talks about them being deported as well, which was very confusing for them, because they've been there before Esau decided to attack, murder, pillage, and commit mass genocide upon them. All right? Esau is not going to leave any part of the nation unscathed. So then now you have this situation going on in DC where Trump has set the military out there, bringing hell upon the Southern Kingdom, right? So things are starting to heat up, man, regarding the tribulation of the Israelites heading into Jacob's trouble. It's building up, and Esau is the one that's bringing this chaos. So in Revelation chapter 6 and verse 8, it says, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him." Right, this pale horse, which is Esau, Edom, and hell followed with him. Hell is a condition of being in. It's not about this place that people go to burn in for all eternity. All right, that's false doctrine. That's not real. All right. Hell is a condition. So right now the Israelites are living in hell. We're suffering under the curses. We are slaves unto the so-called white man, who's the wicked, who's the scourge of the earth. We're in the worst case scenario. All right, we're in this flesh. Things are terrible, man, for us. So we are in hell. But this hell is going to be ramping up. It's going to be increasing during the time of Jacob's trouble. Esau is going to be activated, and he's really going to show what he is, and he's going to show his full hatred for the children of Israel, which he does have a perpetual hatred for us, right? And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which is talking about America, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So Esau's coming with great hell to establish his new world order. He's coming with great hell to establish his mark of the beast, which is that microchip. So with that, the hell he's bringing to bring about this microchip, let's dive into it. Let's dive into the prophecy, because this is the main prophecy that we're looking towards right now. Because in order for the salvation and the destruction of America to happen, this prophecy must come to pass. Because there's a judgment for taking the mark of the beast, right? So let me actually read that judgment first. So in Revelation chapter 14 and verse 9, it says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand," which is a microchip, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh Shemeshai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, which is Yahushai. Okay? So the judgment for taking the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, is death by way of thermonuclear fire. So this is the warning that is going out from Yahweh Shemeshai to the children of Israel to not take it. Okay? So let's go into the prophecy, man. Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond." So who is he that causeth this? The Edomites. It will be their ruling class, which is the wicked elite of Esau, Edom, that will be doing this. Okay? This is a part of their NWO agenda. Both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So the prophecy is stating that it doesn't matter who you are or anything. They intend for you to get this microchip, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So the word mark here at G5480 is the charagma. which it says a stamp and imprinted mark. So it is something that is physical and something imprinted. And the way the microchip is administered is that it is inserted into the body. It breaks the flesh and is inserted into the skin, which is an imprint. When you break it down further at the origin, you get G5482, which says Carax, as pale or stake. When you look at what a stake is, it is something similar to like a pencil with a sharp end that is able to pierce things. And so the Carax is talking about the device that is used to administer the microchip. So when you Google RFID microchip or biometric microchip, you will be able to see the microchip itself. It's about the size of a grain of rice, and then you'll see the device that they use that is specially made to administer the microchip, which that device pierces the skin. It is the Carax, so it pierces the skin, and then it has the microchip inside of it, and then they just press it, and then it inserts the microchip into the hand. Okay, so that's what it's talking about. And then when you go to the origin, which says through the idea of scratch to sharpen to a point akin to G1125 through the idea of scratching, right? It says G1125 grapho, which grapho says to write with reference to the form of the letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment paper, or the material, right? So in what, as we know it, in the old days, in order for them to store data, or rather store information or present information, and to keep it, in certain places, by way of parchment paper, tablets, eventually books, etc. That's how they would, store their information, and then reference back to it, and then read it. So it says to write with reference to the contents of the writing. So it says to write with reference to the contents of the writing, to express in written characters, to commit to writing, things not to be forgotten, write down, record. So to write down things to record. Now, the modern day way of doing that, the most modern day way of doing that is by way of technology, right? People use their technology to store what we know as data, which is information, right? Data is the word that we call it regarding to storing information with technology, but it's really just information being stored on it, right? And then what it is data on it. So that's the modern way of it. So now the microchip itself, right, because it says to write down to record, the microchip itself is a device where it has your data that is stored on it, right? The microchip, as we've known it to be, is that its intended purpose, where people have been microchipped, is that they have an app or something that is connected to the microchip, where the app is able to store their personal information and their data and their financial information, where that app is able to then transfer that data onto the microchip, where then the microchip itself is where people have been literally microchipped and they have their data stored on it, where then they go to a vending machine and the data and the information is recorded on it. They go to that vending machine and they use the microchip as that device to make the payment. You see? And that's what it is. And that is what they're doing. Now, it says, and that in verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, so in order to buy or sell, you will have to have the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. Now, let's dive into a bit the microchip itself. So let's Google biometric microchip. It says from Google, a biometric, from the artificial intelligence overview, a biometric microchip refers to a microchip implanted under the skin, often in the hand or arm, that stores and transmits biometric data like fingerprints or iris scans. These chips are typically used for identification and authentication purposes, potentially replacing ID cards or even passwords. So that's that grapho in the Greek that is talking about, right? The grapho, which once again it says to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down, record. And that modern day way is to store all of this information and data onto these digital devices, which the microchip is a digital device, right? A digital device. Let's Google it. A digital device is an electronic gadget or machine that processes and stores information by converting it into binary code, zeros and ones, right? Which is what the microchip is. It is a digital device that processes and stores information, right? Okay. So we have to understand these things, man, to really understand the process itself, to tie it all together. So the biometric microchip, the implantation, it is implanted under the skin with a syringe. With the syringe is the Corax. Data storage, these chips can store various types of personal information, including biometric data, like fingerprints, iris scans, or even medical history. Data retrieval, external devices using technologies like RFID or NFC can read the chip's data wirelessly. So when reading this, we think about what is being implemented into society, which is the digital system. They call it the fourth industrial revolution. They call it the intelligence age. They call it the digital revolution, where everything is going digital. And it's all so that it can facilitate this microchip, which is this digital device, right? And it's a piece of device where they intend that people are going to be microchipped and they're going to be using it for every single purpose of their life. When they go to the doctor, they're using them. When they're going to the doctor, they're using the microchip. When they make any payments, they're using the microchip. When they go for government services, they're using the microchip. Every single thing that they do, they're going to be using the microchip. Even as soon as they wake up, they're using the microchip to open doors and cabinets in their house. There's a girl called Chip Girl who shows her microchip that she's implanted with, and she's an advocate for her microchip. And she's shown how to use it. Alright? So it's intended for every single purpose of your life. So it has data storage, data retrieval, the development of RFID technology and NFC technology all around us. The potential uses, here it is: access control, unlocking doors, starting cars, or gaining access to secure areas, identification and authentication, verifying identity for various purposes, like entering buildings or accessing online accounts, payment systems, replacing credit cards or other payment methods, medical information, storing and transmitting medical records, allergies, or medical contact information. So it's already telling us and showing us, because we've seen it. You can Google it. People are showing you that the microchip is used for all of these purposes. And so knowing that, we can take a look at the system. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 16 and verse 17, where it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So unless you have the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, you won't be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to conduct life in society anymore, essentially, right? In order to be a merchant, in order to continue your businesses and stuff like that, you're going to have to be microchipped in order to be able to purchase food, to purchase anything in society, to gain access to medical services, government services, all of these things. You're going to need the microchip. And so we know that the world is going completely digital. This is what they call their fourth industrial revolution. And so now we take a look at the systems being brought in. One of the systems being brought in worldwide is the digital identification system. The digital identification system is a system that has been proposed by the World Economic Forum. And it's not just a proposition, it's a mandate, because every single country around the world is developing their digital identification system while also going digital. Why? Because this is a part of the New World Order agenda. They have to set up the system in order for the microchip to work on a global and mass and mandatory scale. So the system has to go digital, right? Because that's how the microchip works. It works on a completely digitally driven system. That's why they're implementing smart cities and 15-minute cities. Okay? So now, the digital ID system. The digital ID, which has been proposed by the World Economic Forum, holy shit. Alright, I'm back. So as I was saying, the digital ID system that's being implemented by every single country worldwide, it's a mandate, it's a part of the NWO. We can take a look at it from the World Economic Forum, right? Because this digital ID is a stepping stone towards the microchip. It appears to be a very important stepping stone because they're implementing it, while the microchip is already out there, right? So take notice that the microchip itself, the technology itself, is up and running and ready to go, both in the forehand, both in the head and in the hand. The brain microchip is up and running, successful, ready to go, and the hand microchip is ready to go as well. But as I mentioned before, the system needs to work on a global scale because the microchip is going to be mandatory. So they have to transform society as we know it to this digital system to allow this digital device, which is the microchip, to work flawlessly and seamlessly and be a part of every single facet of life. So the digital ID that has been proposed by the World Economic Forum, which is now happening in every country worldwide, shows you the digital identity, where the intention of it shows you to connect people with things, with devices, and with entities, right? Because what it is that they're doing is that they're merging, because when you take the microchip, you're merging with technology, right? So then they want people to be merged with the systems in a way where they'll have the microchip and every single part of their life, they're using the microchip to communicate with the cities, these smart cities and these 15-minute cities. You know what I'm saying? Right? So that everybody and everything is like on this one digital footprint and database of sorts. But we'll see how, that part of it continues to reveal. But then it says as well, this digital ID, right? Which is now being implemented by every country worldwide. Out here in Jamaica, it's already launched. It's called the National Identification System. the digital ID is intended to store all of your information on it, including your biometrics. Also, your medical information, which is your healthcare. It says financial services, which is your financial information. Food and sustainability. Travel and mobility, which is your passports and travel documents. Humanitarian response. E-commerce, so your online login. Social platforms, which is your social media accounts. E-government, so government services are going to be tied to it as well. Telecommunications, your phone is going to be tied to it, your SIM card, etc. And then they say smart cities, because the smart cities are going to be interacting with the digital ID in this whole digital ecosystem that they're building. Okay, so when you take a look at this digital ID and you take notice and remember what it is that the microchip is, you're like, okay, well, you can connect it very clearly, because this digital ID that they're implementing right now, right, is all about storing all of your information into one place. Your biometric information, your financial information, your medical information, everything, which is exactly what the microchip does right now. It stores your information on it. You see? But they need everybody to be a part of the system and for it to be a mandatory situation. So they're implementing this digital ID system as a stepping stone heading towards the eventual mandatory, implantation of this microchip. You see? So all of the countries around the world are developing it. So Jamaica has launched it, and then you have, Tanzania digital ID address system facilitates access to student loans, other services. Madagascar's digital governance ID project timeline extended to 2023, right? And then you have, just in general, other places, the world is implementing, it's the digital age, that's what they call it. So there's the development of the digital public infrastructure, because, for example, Jamaica has launched the central bank digital currency and the digital identification system. But then it's like, okay, what happens now? Because the microchip technology is out there. So then we can take a look at Jamaica and say, okay, well, we can understand certain things because, yes, the digital ID is out there. The central bank digital currency is launched. But Jamaica's digital public infrastructure is very poor. It's very weak. Jamaica is not online with the digital system the way it is in the East, like in Singapore and Japan and China and South Korea. Jamaica's very lagging behind that. So while it is that important parts of the system are implemented, Jamaica is lacking behind in regards to the microchip working for it to be mandatory. You see what I'm saying? Jamaica has to accelerate that, which they're doing. That's why they joined a campaign called the 50 in 5 campaign, which is all about accelerating digital public infrastructure. So there's a lot that ESA is doing, man. There's a lot that needs to be done, that has to be implemented, to make for this prophecy to be come to pass. They have a lot of work to do. Okay? And so I did mention the central bank digital currency, which is a part of the system coming in, because they're transforming the current monetary system to a digital payment system. Why? Because the microchip is a digital device and it's used for digital payments, and your financial information is stored onto it, and it's going to be what is used to make payments. So they're doing away with cash. They're moving towards a cashless society. And so that's why there is such information like Malta pursues digital wallet ahead of EU digital EUDI wallet, the EU digital identification wallet 2026 deadline, right? So countries are both implementing digital IDs and central bank digital currencies and digital wallets. Pakistan government prioritizes digital public infrastructure, cashless economy. You see? Jordan submits digital transformation strategy for public comment. Then, digital ID. Canada adopts national digital identity standard to advance trust. So now in this article, it talks about Canada implementing their digital ID. And in the article, in the document outline, it includes biometrics with your digital ID. So your biometrics are going to be tied to your digital identity, right? That's what the biometric microchip is. It has your biometrics and your identity stored to it. And then in the article, right, it says biometrics are defined in the document and also referred to as biological or behavioral confirmation. It says biometric authentication should be used in conjunction with ownership authentication. So what they're saying is that what is coming is that for anything that you own, anything that you're a part of, it must be linked to your biometrics. Your biometrics must be able to identify you, because Esau found out that every single person's biometrics is completely unique. So there's no way to be able to circumvent the system, right? Because you will only ever have one biometric, right, ID. One ever. You can't create another one. You see? You see what's coming in? So Canada's doing that. And then you have America. The US pushes digital ID as cornerstone of crypto ambitions. So Trump recently signed stablecoin into law, which stablecoin is basically a central bank digital currency, right? It is the digital dollar. The stablecoin works as a 1-to-1 ratio, and it is digital money. So yes, we can claim that it is the digital dollar, because effectively right now, the US dollar works on a digital dollar because of the stablecoin that has been signed into law. And Trump also spoke about his $500 billion artificial intelligence infrastructure, right? And then he signed recently transforming the medical industry to go completely digital. So the system is all happening, man. It's all building up around us. So now the US is moving very quickly. And the US is America, which is Mystery Babylon the Great. And so it is very telling when America is accelerating, because before keeping up with this, as the scriptures say that I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, I'm a watchman. I watch day in, day out. I constantly check to see what's going on in the world regarding Bible prophecy. And I will say this very boldly, that for some time, while it is, you know, it's coming out that these countries are developing central bank digital currencies and digital IDs and moving towards a digital public infrastructure, which we know all of it is so that, you know, to facilitate the microchip on a global and mandatory scale. America was lagging behind the Caribbean, behind Europe, behind Asia, behind Africa. America has been running very behind. But in these recent weeks, in these recent months, since Trump came back into office recently, first he made the announcement, $500 billion artificial infrastructure, which is him talking about accelerating America's digital public infrastructure. Then he signed stablecoin into law, which works as the digital US dollar, right? It's on the whole, it's on a digital payment system, which is different from Bitcoin and Ethereum. All right, it's separate from that. It works on the same platform, right, as the central bank digital currencies. It's in that vein. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Then he decided to accelerate the medical industry of going digital, and then now they're on the backs of signing the stablecoin into law, which is a digital dollar of sorts, right? Without them blatantly saying it, they're now saying that a digital ID needs to happen along with this stable coin, which is the crypto that they're talking about. You see how it all just happened just like that in the span of a few months? This is a prophecy, man. In the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak or not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, it will surely come, it will not tarry. You see how quickly it's all happening now? It truly is, man. Okay? US pushes digital ID as cornerstone of crypto ambitions. Innovative tools are critical to advancing efforts to address illicit financial risk, but also present new resource burdens for financial institutions, Treasury said. As required by the Genius Act, Treasury will use public comments to inform research on the effectiveness, right? So the Genius Act is what signed stable coin into law. Here it is. The working group of digital assets markets established by Trump's January executive order went further in a July report that explicitly named digital identity providers as among the key infrastructure providers and tools necessary for the cryptocurrency ecosystem to flourish. When they talk about cryptocurrency ecosystem, they're talking about the stable coin, which is the digital dollar. The report suggested that widespread adoption of digital ID could accelerate mainstream use of digital assets and bolster trust in blockchain-based financial systems, right? That's the word that was falling from my mind, blockchain. So it's like the CBDC works on a different blockchain system or whatever than your Ethereum, your Bitcoin. The end game is not that. The end game is the central bank digital currencies, which is going to be the new digital payment system. And stablecoin works on that same type of platform. So when they're talking about digital identity providers being a key infrastructure provider for tools, that suggested that widespread adoption of digital ID could accelerate mainstream use of digital assets and bolster trust in blockchain-based financial systems. What they're talking about is that this new digital payment system that's coming in, they want it to be tied to the digital ID that they're bringing in, which is them merging the two together. Why? Because they're consolidating these things together into one place, right? Because remember, the digital ID is intended to store your financial information on it. So that financial information, your bank account information, and etc. is going to be tied to your digital ID, and then that digital ID is simply going to be transferred onto the microchip, which is the mark of the beast. You see the system that's coming in? And once again, it is very telling that it is happening in America and that it is happening very quickly. We're truly at the end, and I'm very excited about this. All right, I'm very excited. Okay, so I know I haven't brought out many precepts, but that's just how it is, man, regarding explaining the system, man. You never know who is new that is watching. The elect are still being woken up, it appears, right? And so there are new members that wake up, man. So it's important to flesh this thing out sometimes, because they're just learning. So then, hopefully there's an understanding of all of that is happening, what the microchip is, how it functions, and the system being implemented behind it in order for it to become mandatory. You can see it, man. All right, and now you're able to observe what is going on in the world, and every time you see certain movements, certain things signed into law, etc., you'll know that it is because it's about that microchip. So in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 18, it says, "Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So let's go into the word 6 at G5516, which is Chi-Psi Stigma. And then when you break down Chi-Psi Stigma, you have to go to the Greek at G4742, which is stigma, which says as mark pricked in or branded upon the body. A mark pricked in, or branded upon the body. And that's what the microchip is. That's how the microchip is administered. It's pricked into the body. Okay? To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And so this is where it is critical. And that's why Yahweh Shemishai is going to destroy all people for taking the microchip. Because when you take it, you would have worshipped the beast and his image. You would have worshipped Esau and his system. The Greek word for worship is proskuneo, there in Revelation 14 verse 9, which proskuneo is, it says it's like a dog licking his master's hand, which is what you will do when you take the microchip, right? You would have accepted Esau as your power and your salvation instead of Yahweh Shemishai, so the Lord is going to destroy you for that. So a mark pricked in or branded upon the body to ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked. So literally, when you Israelites who don't have faith in Yahweh Shemishai take the microchip, you really are going to say, this Esau is my master. Really, that's what you're going to be saying. You would have rejected our power. And there's no coming back from it. Once you take the microchip, you're going to be destroyed. You can't take it out or whatever. Once you take it out, it's over for you. And there are Israelites who have already taken the microchip too. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. People on social media who have the microchip. One dude, he looked like a so-called Negro. He even talked about the brain microchip that he has. You know what I'm saying? There's a woman, you know, if I'm remembering correctly, she went to the store with a microchip and she used a microchip to make a payment in America in the store, which actually shows you that the point of sales machines can already accept microchip payments. It's very telling the times that we're in, you know. And her husband was shocked actually by that. Anyway, it says origin from a primary stizo to stick, i.e. prick. Stizo to stick, that is a mark incised or punched for recognition of ownership, right? So a mark incised. I can't emphasize it enough. Anybody who's teaching that the mark of the beast is something other than the microchip, they're a false prophet, okay? It is clear. Something that is sticks, and the microchip is sticks, so that's the breakdown on Revelation 16 verse 8. So we're approaching the hour of temptation, right? Because at a certain point, Esau is going to say or feel, right, that he's done enough regarding implementing his digital society, his digital ID development in the countries, his central bank digital currencies development in the countries, and everything. He'll feel secure to a point where he's going to be like, okay, well, now it's time to make the microchip mandatory. But it's going to come with chaos and hell happening. And famine is going to be happening as well, all of these things. All right? So it's going to be a very chaotic situation, man, where people are going to be taking the microchip. Some are going to be deceived into taking it by way of how they're going to sell it, being the new advancements in technology and all of the things that they will promise that it can do, right? That's why it says in Revelation chapter 19 and verse 20, it says, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, which is the Roman Catholic Church, that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that to receive the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image, right? Right, so there's going to be a deception. So some people are going to be convinced because of the hell that they'll be experiencing, and Esau is going to tell you, well, you're not allowed into these smart cities, you're not allowed into these green zones unless you take the microchip. And they did that during the pandemic in 2020. They said that you weren't allowed to go to certain places or have certain jobs or whatever unless you took the solution that they offered, right? Unless you had it. You know what I'm saying? So that was like a little precursor, a little testing grounds of sorts. But it shows you what's going to happen in a certain way. So people are going to be starving and stuff, and they're going to be like, oh, the only choice I have is to take the microchip, and they're going to feel that they have no choice because they don't believe in Yahweh Shemishai, right? In Ecclesiastes chapter 12, it talks about how, how the windows be darkened because they're going to see no way out of the situation. They're not going to have any hope. But the elect of the nation of Israel will have hope and will know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, which is Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? So he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So the judgment, once again, is death by way of thermonuclear fire in America if you take that microchip. All right? So Revelation 3 verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So let's break down the word temptation, which the word temptation and the word try here in this precept break down to the same thing. So let's start at the word temptation at G3986. So it says parasmos, which is a trial. So it will be a trial. It is a trial and it's a test of your faith, right? To see if those of us that say that we believe in Yahweh Shemishai will really believe in Yahweh Shemishai. It's the hour of temptation. All right? So when you break it down further, at G3985, it says parazzo, which is a trial as well. You break it down further at G3984, which is peril, right? Which says through the idea of piercing from the base of. So let's go to the base, which is G4008, which is Paran, which says to pierce, right? So it is a trial and it breaks down to piercing. So Revelation 3 verse 10 can be read as, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of piercing, which shall come upon all the world to pierce them that dwell upon the earth. So it's the hour of piercing, right? To pierce them that dwell upon earth. Why? Because the hour of temptation is when that microchip is made mandatory and it is administered by way of piercing the skin. So it is the hour of piercing, the hour of temptation. Okay? It all just makes an incredible amount of sense when it's all fleshed out in this type of way. It is truly a very heavy covering cast that people cannot see it. Because like, to me it is so obvious, it's so blatant, you know? In Revelation chapter 16 and verse 2, it says, and the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast and upon them which worshipped his image. So, you know, you're going to have a portion of our people taking the microchip, and even before the thermonuclear fire, people are going to be suffering from taking the microchip. They're going to be suffering a noisome and grievous sore, which this is talking about. A noisome in the Greek kakos, which is an injurious, troublesome, baneful, and pernicious. Then grievous at G4190, right? It says of bad nature. And then of sore, it says helkos, which is a sore and ulcer. So it's like a cancer that some people are going to be experiencing. So where they get the microchip, it's going to be terrible, man. So some people are going to experience that and probably perish from experiencing the cancer and the sore from the microchip, and then other people are simply going to be suffering from it, you know, going to the doctor with a microchip inside of them. The only way to be able to access medical services is because you're going to need a microchip, but they go to the doctor and then the doctor can't help them. They're trying to figure out the solution. Some people will perish from it, but some people will last long enough to face death by way of the thermonuclear fire. This is what is coming. And so your hope should be to be a part of the elect of the nation of Israel, and that when the hour of temptation comes, that Yahweh Shemishai keeps you from it, right? Where Yahweh Shemishai keeps the spirit upon you to not take the microchip so that you can have the victory. And that's what those of us that sincerely believe look towards. Revelation chapter 15 verse 2, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of Yahweh Shemishai. So the elect will be delivered, the 1/3 from America will be delivered, 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed in America, and then Yahushua is also going to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel from the four corners. And the elect will be in the chariots of the Most High, which are called UFOs in this world. And the elect will be looking down from up in the sky, looking down on the earth and looking down on America and America's destruction, which is that lake of fire. That is the lake of fire spoken about in Revelation, the book of Revelation, right? That I read in Revelation chapter 19 verse 20, where it says these both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. It's America that's going to be completely engulfed in fire, and you know, it is that lake of fire, because when the elect is looking down, it's going to be just consumed by fire, man. Isaiah chapter 13, Revelation chapter 18, and all those things, man. All right, so the times very clearly speak to the time, what is going on in the world very clearly speaks to the times that we're in, and the scriptures say it, man. Now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. Our salvation is close, man. And you know what? Keep pushing, keep fighting, keep striving to be better, man. All right, we won't be perfect, we know that, but at least, you know, we have a contrite heart and a broken spirit, and that we sincerely believe in Yahweh Shemishah and the mercies of our power. All right, and that everything's gonna be okay, right? As long as we trust in our power, man, everything's gonna be okay. As it says, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. The elect has been referred to as that grapevine, the grape of a cluster in 2nd Ezra chapter 9, right? Which is being tended to and nurtured by Yahweh Shemishai day in, day out, man. Increasing our faith day in, day out. Okay? So, with that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakal Kodesh. And once again, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the brothers doing this work in truth and sincerity are on the four corners of the earth, and unto the men, women, and children that sincerely believe, I say shalom to all of you, man. Our salvation is close. Shalom.